What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Backup Fantasy Sports. It is Tuesday, February 13th. My name is Ewan. On today's episode, we're going to get into some Fantasy Premier League with a double Game Week 25 preview. That's right, Game Week 25 is finally here. The doubles we've all been waiting for: Man City, Liverpool, Brentford, Luton. They've all got two fixtures this game week, so it's going to be absolute chaos in FPL. But there's a lot of good single game weeks as well, but we will mostly be focusing on the double game weeks. I know everyone and their grandma is going to be making content, so check out the timestamps below. I go through my top 5 options at each team and then a free hit team at the end there, along with triple captaincy debate and just some of my transfers. So check out those timestamps below. And while you're there, just give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. That way you don't miss any of my FPL or F1 fantasy content as the season moves along. But let's get into it right here with the double game week 25 fixtures. So it kicks off with Brentford and Liverpool. So hopefully we will get some early Liverpool team news about a certain right fullback who may or may not be injured, and a Egyptian midfielder winger who has not been seen for a few game weeks here. So we will definitely be kind of trolling on Twitter, trying to see if there's any leaks. I know leaks are getting a lot of traction right now in the FPL community, but we will be looking out for them on Saturday morning. So keep your eyes peeled to X, and you can follow me on there at UNFPL. So Brentford Liverpool kicks it off. Burnley, Arsenal, Fulham, Aston Villa, Newcastle, Bournemouth, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Spurs versus Wolves are the Saturday 3 p.m. games UK time. And then Man City, Chelsea is Saturday at 5:30. Sheffield United, Brighton, Luton, Man United play on Sunday. Everton, Crystal Palace Monday. Man City versus Brentford on Tuesday. And Liverpool versus Luton on Wednesday night. It is Tuesday, February 13th. So this is being recorded before all the Champions League games this week, all the Europa League games, all the Europa Conference League games. So if any injuries pop up there, forgive my dated analysis. But those are the fixtures for double game week 25. 4 teams with 2 fixtures: Man City, Brentford, Liverpool, and Luton. Here is the fixture ticker for the next 6 game weeks. Luton remain on top there as they have 2 double game weeks. They've got Man United, Liverpool, then a blank in game week 26, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace, and Bournemouth in another double game week, and then potentially Nottingham Forest and Tottenham in game week 30. Aston Villa have Fulham, Nottingham Forest, Luton, Tottenham, West Ham, and Wolves. They are the second best team, so it might be wise to hold on to Ollie Watkins. I know a lot of people have sold him the last couple of game weeks for Haaland, for Darwin Nunez, and those have paid off. But Ollie Watkins has some good fixtures coming up, and he is still very highly owned. Brentford, Bournemouth, and Crystal Palace round out the top 5 of the best teams for the fixture ticker, according to Fantasy Football Scout. The worst teams here: Chelsea, Man City, or Chelsea, Tottenham, Brighton, Liverpool, and Wolves. Chelsea play Man City this game week, then they blank. Cole Palmer had 2 assists in the 90th minute and stoppage time last night to save his game week, but it could be time to move on from him. Personally, I won't be selling him this week because he's going to be on my bench anyway. So I'm trying to desperately roll the transfer, as I have taken hits in back-to-back game weeks that has not gone entirely well. Small green arrow or small red arrow this week. I benched Bukayo Saka, so that will teach me to not do that again. But here, 5 worst teams for fixtures over the next 6 game weeks: Chelsea, Tottenham, Brighton, Liverpool, and Wolves. Liverpool mostly because of their blank, and they play Man City in those next 6 game weeks. But Brentford and Luton, that's a pretty tasty double game week if you ask me. Quick fixture kind of check on game week 29 here. So Ben Krellin, the guru of scheduling on FPL, on X, he said, "I'm reposting my game week 29 spreadsheet because the odds for the FA Cup round 5 ties have changed. All the high blank percentages might make it seem like there'll only be 4 fixtures in game week 29, but there's more likely to be 5 fixtures than 4. So right now, the only 3 confirmed fixtures are West Ham versus Aston Villa, Fulham versus Tottenham, Burnley versus Brentford. Luton versus Nottingham Forest. I said this last week on the Game Week 24 preview. Highly likely that that game will go ahead as Luton play Man City and Nottingham Forest play Man United. Chelsea could lose to Leeds. Newcastle, could they lose to Blackburn? You never know, but I'm thinking it's probably only going to be 4 fixtures in Game Week 29. I don't see a huge amount of upsets, but as Planet FPL's James keeps saying that it's the middle of a game. It's a midweek round 5 FA Cup tie. So teams could play some weird lineups and some strange things could happen in the FA Cup. I believe last year we were all planning to kind of use our wild card in game week 30, 31, and then Tottenham lost to Sheffield United and we were like, "Oh, yeah." And we all activated our wild cards and it was kind of DEFCON 1 battle stations. Let's figure this out right away as we could bring in Tottenham assets because they were not blanking anymore. So keep your eyes peeled for those games between game week 26 and game week 27 in the FA Cup. This is the chart I did last week, kind of still highlighting the teams to kind of target over the next few game weeks. So double game week 25, blank game week 26, double game week 28, and blank game week 29 with those updated odds that Ben provided. So Liverpool, Man City, Brentford, and Luton have a double game week. Don't know if I've said that 5 times already in this episode. And then Liverpool, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Luton all blank in game week 26. Luton and Bournemouth have a double game week in game week 28. And then there's only 6 teams with a confirmed schedule in game week 29. So right now, Brentford, they have a double game week. They play in blank game week 26 and they play in blank game week 29. So if you are using your free hit this week, if you're wildcarding this week, Brentford assets should be slightly higher up your list of wants. And Ivan Toney should be at the top of your wish list here. Let's get into kind of just kind of looking at the game week 25 teams that double this week. So here are the top 5 options for Liverpool starting off here. So Darwin Nunez, Diogo Jota, Mohamed Salah, Luis Diaz, and Virgil van Dijk. Salah is on this list because Klopp has said that he's hoping he will do parts of training this week. That does not sound like Mohamed Salah is going to start 2 games in the double game week, especially before a cup final against Chelsea as well. So I don't think Salah, he's a fitness monster, but he's not going to come back and play 3 straight games in 7 or 8 days for Jurgen Klopp's side, especially with the title running coming up. There's a Man City game on the horizon. It's highly unlikely that Mohamed Salah plays. However, the rotoballer.com rankings, so check those out. Those will be released later in the week after all the European fixtures, just for injury's sake. But make sure to check those out. Thursday night, Friday morning is when they will be released. They still have Salah at 8.6 predicted points for double game week 25. I'm not sure that's what's going to come out to on Friday morning after we get some more news from Jurgen Klopp. But he is still up here. Trent Alexander-Arnold is actually has 8.12 predicted points, but he had a recurrence of a knee injury in game week 24, came off at halftime against Burnley. Doesn't sound good for him either, but we await Jurgen Klopp's injury updates. So the other 4 guys on this list, Darwin Nunez, Diogo Jota, Luis Diaz, Virgil van Dijk. Those are kind of the main 4 I would focus on. Andy Robertson probably deserves to be on this list, but Kostas Tsimikas is back. Joe Gomez should be recovered from the flu or whatever was going around Liverpool's camp last week. And Connor Bradley is supposed to be back sooner rather than later. So Robertson's minutes don't feel that secure either. But Nunez, Jota, Luis Diaz, Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk, he can definitely play 3 games in 8 days, feel very secure in his minutes. So he's probably going to be a 90-minute stud. If Trent is out, he is probably the next Liverpool defender that you would want to go to. I am trying to roll my transfer this week, but if Trent is definitely out, like if Klopp's like, we won't see him to the cup final, it may be time to bring in Van Dijk just for 1 game week, get those 180 minutes. You never know, goal could come in off the corner. Luton at Anfield feels like a pretty good chance at a clean sheet as well. So That would be my thinking defender wise. However, up top, Nunez, Jota, Diaz. Those have kind of been the starting three for Klopp since Salah left for AFCON a month ago. And they have not underperformed at all. They've all been quite good. All three scored on the weekend. So that's great to see. Nunez, I feel like Diaz might be the minutes play because he doesn't really come off all that often. And there's not as much competition on his side, but Darwin can play out left as well. Jota is also pretty good for minutes, but Gakpo is there waiting in the wings. There's Harvey Elliott that can come on as well. But it's kind of tough. I don't think any of these guys will play 180 minutes in double game week 25. I can say that for sure. Diaz may have the best chance if there's any of them, but Gakpo, Elliott, they can both come on, kind of change the game. And if Salah is fit, I would expect him to have at least a 45-minute cameo in one of the games, potentially the Luton game in the middle of the week if they want Salah to kind of have a chance at starting that cup final against Chelsea 2 Sundays from now. So this is kind of how I would honestly rank them as well. Nunez, Jota up top. Those are a lot of people have these two. You should have these two going forward. Those would be my best two. If you can afford to get to Salah, I'd probably go there. But there's a certain Man City midfielder that was maybe potentially has better minutes and is more likely to kind of start both games. So we'll see about that. Luis Diaz, I don't really love him for FPL. He did grab a goal on the weekend, but yeah, not really interested in going there all that much. But Virgil van Dijk, if you have Trent Alexander-Arnold, certainly go for him. Connor Bradley is 4.1 million as well. Just if Trent has any sniff of coming back, I don't think Bradley is going to get 180 minutes at all. Joe Gomez can play out there. Tsimikas, Robertson, like Liverpool's defense is getting a little bit healthier right now. You got Kwanzaa, you got Kanate, who's going to return from suspension as well. So the places in the defense are going to be quite sought after for the Reds. So Connor Bradley, 4.1 million is tempting if you're on a free hit and trying to save some money, but I don't think I would go there for double game week 25. Moving on to the next team here, Man City, Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden, Alvarez, and Rodrigo's down there. Doku actually comes out on top of Rodrigo in the Rotoballer predicted points metric, but Rodrigo's minutes feel more secure. The thing about Man City is they play FC Copenhagen in the first leg of their Champions League tie this week. So, gonna wait to see how that looks. Alvarez likely won't start. De Bruyne was on the bench for that game against Everton on the weekend, came on, got the assist for Haaland. Haaland started, played most of the game, all 90 minutes, I believe, actually, scored 2 goals. So he's back to being Erling Haaland. I would definitely get Erling Haaland. Phil Foden, minutes monster, seems pretty nailed in that Pep side, which is great. He seems to have a pretty big correlation with Kyle Walker. If Kyle Walker plays or starts, Phil Foden kind of moves to the inside because Walker's kind of bombing up and down that right-hand side. So Phil can kind of move more centrally for Man City, and he is much more involved in the attack. If Walker doesn't start, Phil plays out wide. He's kind of the width in that Man City system. So we definitely need to watch those lineups. But if De Bruyne starts tonight, which I would think Pep would start him after you rested him on Saturday, I don't think he's going to start both of the double game weeks either. Chelsea's kind of a big game, so I would expect De Bruyne to start that one, but maybe not the Brentford game on Tuesday, because that's a Saturday to a Tuesday turnaround. Man City have bigger title hopes, FA Cup hopes, Champions League hopes on the horizon. So maybe they can get away with not playing Kevin De Bruyne in that Brentford game. So I would expect De Bruyne to start in the Champions League, and I would expect him to start against Chelsea on Saturday night as well, and potentially be on the bench for the Brentford tie on Tuesday. Haaland, if he's fit, he usually starts, and if he's fit and he starts, he usually plays most of the game. If Man City can kind of be clinical against Copenhagen, They're up 3-0 after 60 minutes, and Haaland comes off. Like, that's great news for FPL. Everybody is hunky-dory. We're all playing Haaland as our captain and potentially triple captaining him this game week. Foden, he is the third best Man City asset. Alvarez, if he gets a rest against Copenhagen, like doesn't really play maybe like 10, 15 minutes, he could be a pretty good bet to at least play 45 in the Brentford or the Chelsea game, and then potentially start and play most of the game against Brentford. However, with Haaland on the pitch, he's not taking penalties anymore. His set piece, he plays a lot more like short crosses, kind of like pre-made on the training ground kind of moves from corners and free kicks and stuff, whereas De Bruyne just whips them into the box and gets someone's head on the ball. So Alvarez's set piece appeal is kind of dwindled there as well. But Rodrigo is here on the list as kind of just a minutes play. I don't expect him to kind of sit at all. He is popping up on the XGI charts a little bit more than usual this season, 0.29 XGI per 90 over the last 6 games, which is not bad at all. Haaland 0.79 here. But yeah, Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden. That's kind of the three you want from Man City. If you can afford that, good job by you. I cannot. I will not be going in with Kevin De Bruyne. I have Erling Haaland, I have Phil Foden, and I have Josko Gvardiol, who may be injured. So looking at a potential tricky defense going ahead in double game week 25, because I have Trent and Gvardiol. So that's going to be a problem that I will need to solve for game week 25. I have a couple of bench defenders I could sub in, but hopefully Gvardiol, he was in the squad on Saturday. Hopefully he makes the squad tonight or tomorrow for Man City's game against Copenhagen. And that would be encouraging. He's like fit enough to make the team, so won't have to worry too much. Apparently he was not seen in the open training portion of yesterday's practice for Man City. But here are my top 5 Man City guys for double game week 25: Erling Haaland, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden, Julian Alvarez, and Rodrigo. Brentford is next. They probably have, out of the 2 remaining teams, Brentford and Luton, Ivan Toney should be the most popular guy to get in. Potentially tied with Alfie Doughty, but I would prefer the attacker in Ivan Toney here. So he's 8.2 million, 7.26 predicted points. He's got a 0.62 XGI per 90 over the last 6 games. If you're on a free hit this week, he's pretty much non-negotiable. Tony's on penalties, he's on free kicks. And while he does play Man City and Liverpool, he's talented enough that he can just pop up with a goal whenever he wants. So don't forget about Ivan Toney this week in double game week 25. Flecken in goal, 6.15 predicted points in the rotoballer.com rankings, but that's probably based on save points, as he did have 12 saves against Man City just like a week and a half ago. So that was incredible, and plays Liverpool again, who will definitely be taking a lot of shots against Brentford in that Saturday lunchtime kickoff. Neil Maupay, 4.38, just a cheap budget enabling forward if you want him if you're just looking to grab more fixtures and you just need if you have a João Pedro, or I mean, if you have Adebayo from Luton, I would just keep him. I wouldn't upgrade him to Maupay, or it wouldn't even be an upgrade. But just if you need another guy, just looking for some cheap fixtures, Neil Maupay. Sergio Reguilon, he had a assist this last week. Shout out to Late Riser from the FPL Wire podcast. He kind of mentioned him off the cuff in their game week 24 preview, and he came through. So good job by him. But yeah, Reguilon, 4.4 million, 3.13 predicted points, 0.21 XGI per 90 over the last 6. So more of a free hit guy if that is your cup of tea. And Pinnock here, 4.6 million, 2.95 predicted points, 0.08 XGI. Not for me. But those are the Brentford top 5: Toney, Flecken, Maupay, Reguilon, and Pinnock, if you want to go with the bees. And last but not least, Luton Town here. The rotoballer.com rankings don't love the Hatters this week, But Adebayo, 6.31 predicted points. Thomas Kaminsky, 6.18. Ross Barkley, 5.57. Carlton Morris, 5.49. And Alfie Doughty, 4.39 as well. So all very cheap assets, all very affordable. The problem is you are bringing them in for 2 double game weeks, so that's fantastic. But as I did last week, I brought in Kaminsky for a hit, -4 against Sheffield United, hoping like, well, Sheffield United at home, does it get much better than that? Well, I hope so because he got 1 point. Let in 3 goals, it was not great, but I was mostly buying the fixtures and I was just trying to go early, see if I could catch a surprising haul against Sheffield United. It backfired. I got a red arrow by 4 points, so that's pretty much all you need to know there. Did not work out too well for the lethal weapons, unfortunately. But Adebayo probably would be my third favorite Luton asset because I do like Kaminsky and Doughty the most. I'm not expecting clean sheets. I'm expecting save points and possibly an assist for the defender there for Luton. Nothing really jumps off the page. Mars has 0.77 XGI per 90, but he is on penalties, so that raises his appeal a little bit. But I think I'd go Adebayo over Morris. Just seems to be more involved, not really relying on penalties like Morris is. 0.61 XGI per 90. So that's kind of impressive for Luton. 4.9. You could keep him in your team long term. You've got 4 fixtures over the next, or just a blank to kind of navigate in 29, but it doesn't really take too much out of your budget there. So let me know from these 4 teams who your favorite assets are in the comments below, and I will get back to you, or hit me up on X at UNFPL. Here are my top 5 assets for Double Game Week 25. Erling Haaland, Darwin Nunez, Phil Foden, Diogo Jota, and Ivan Toney. I've made a Game Week 25 free hit team here thanks to the FPL.team website. So this has some permutations to it, whatever. So I've got Flecken in goal, Reguilon, Doughty, and Alexander Arnold at the back, Diogo Jota, Ross Barkley, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden in the midfield, Tony, Haaland, and Darwin. The only thing from this lineup that I think is non-negotiable is that front 3. Ivan Toney, Erling Haaland, Darwin Nunez. You need those 3. You want those 3 up front. They are going to be the highest point scorers of the week. And I would do anything to have them all in my team this week, but I cannot get there. I do have Ollie Watkins, so that's okay. The bench fodder is as cheap as you can possibly go. At goalkeeper, you can actually get down to 3.8 or 3.7 million as well, but that's Kelleher, and that takes up a vital Liverpool spot. I would expect Alisson Becker to be back here in game week 25 after coming down with the flu last week, just like Joe Gomez did. But Flecken in goal, Reguilon, Tony. So you've got pretty much triple Liverpool, triple Brentford, triple Man City, and double Luton, because that's pretty much as good as it's going to get there. You could go Carlton Morris, but I think the front 3, you got to go with those guys. Ivan Toney, Erling Haaland, Darwin Nunez, De Bruyne, Foden. This is just like an all upside team. Alexander Arnold, if you brought him all the way down to a Bradley or even another Luton defender, you could potentially move Barkley all the way up to Salah if we get some good news about Mohamed Salah. So that would be encouraging there. I would probably opt to do that because if Salah plays about even Salah in 70 minutes against Brentford and Luton could do some massive damage for FPL squads. But this is kind of the route I would take in game week 25 if I was on a free hit. If Alexander Arnold's not going to be out, Robertson, probably Van Dijk would be the preferred options to switch those guys up. So just one more time with the double game week 25 free hit team here: Mark Flecken, Reguilon, Doughty, Trent or Virgil van Dijk, Diogo Jota, Ross Barkley, Kevin De Bruyne, Phil Foden in the midfield, Ivan Toney, Erling Haaland, and Darwin Nunez up front. The debate about triple captaincy is, I don't know. I'm kind of a let's just go for it. Smoke 'em if you got 'em. Erling Haaland, 2 fixtures, Chelsea, Brentford, both at home. Feels too good to be true. Let's just get this over with. Game week 25, I don't know if there's going to be a better opportunity to play. These are the two options that we know about here. So we've got Holland, but then the other two options are Salah this week, game week 25. Don't think he's going to play more than 100 minutes, though. So it's really, really risky if you want to go with Holland. And the other option is Dominic Solanke in game week 28. He has Sheffield United and Luton at home. But Bournemouth are kind of not in the best form right now. They could be kind of slumping after they had over Christmas. They were looking a little bit better. Got a win over Newcastle, that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think Holland is the best option by far. Erling Haaland in a double game week is always the best option for triple captain, and City seem to be hitting their stretch runs, kind of like superpower era that they do every single year, which is starting to get really annoying as a Liverpool fan. But yeah, game week 25, Chelsea at home, Brentford at home, Erling Haaland. This isn't like last year where when Haaland got the double game week, City were in a little bit of a slump. Haaland seemed to be kind of not all that great either, just for that. But Haaland's hitting his stride right now. 2 goals against Everton. Everything seems to be flowing. We'll see how the game against Copenhagen goes. Triple captain is highly likely for me in game week 25. FPL Review has my 3 options this week as no transfer or Palmer to JWP or Palmer to Hwang Hee-Chen. Since I am benching Palmer, I am likely just going to roll this week. No crazy moves for me. I've taken a couple of hits over the last 2 game weeks, so going to let it roll, and I will have plenty of doublers this week to kind of prevent any damage going on. And Fantasy Football Hub has me selling Ollie Watkins for Ivan Toney. With Villa now playing in 26 and 29, I'm just buying 1 extra fixture for Toney, and that's coming against Man City and Liverpool, so that's kind of tough. And as I showed you at the beginning of the episode, Villa has the second, third best fixture ticker over the next 6 game weeks, so I will not be doing that. FF Hub, but thank you for that option. Here is the team as of right now. Predicted to score around 95 points, according to the 3 websites that I go to. Kaminsky in goal with Man United and Liverpool. Trent, as of right now, at the back line. Gabriel versus Burnley on the road. Gvardiol could be injured, but Chelsea, Brentford at home. Hopefully he gets some minutes there. Like I said, that could get potentially messy along the back line. Would be relying on that. Saka at Burnley. Foden, Diogo Jota, and Richarlison, and then Haaland, Watkins, and Darwin up front. I have not activated the triple captainship on Erling Haaland yet, just to make sure that everything goes hunky-dory during this week versus Copenhagen. And then on the bench, I've got Areola, Palmer, Van Heck, and Charlie Taylor. Hopefully Charlie Taylor can come back for game week 26. That would help me out quite a lot there in FPL. But it is nearly time for double game week 25. I feel like we've all been planning for this for a few weeks now, kind of just assuming that City and Liverpool were going to have this, and that it didn't get confirmed for a while. And here we are. It's finally happening. So this is the first big-ish double game week. It's actually the second double game week of the season. If you don't remember, we had Luton versus Burnley in game week 7 or something, because Luton couldn't host their game week 2 fixture. So that was quite confusing. But let me know what your thoughts and concerns are for the double game week 25 that is coming up ahead in the comments below. Hit me up on X at UNFPL. Don't forget to go to rotoballer.com for our game week preview that should be out Wednesday or Thursday, and then the rankings will be out Friday. Next game week 26, I am actually on vacation, so I'm going to pre-record a chip strategy video, and I will post that next Wednesday. Hopefully it's not too out of date after I record it on Thursday night or Friday morning, and it still all applies to you guys going forward. But good luck in double game week 25. Let me know how it's going, any thoughts, concerns, questions. Happy to answer them throughout the week. Even on vacation, I'll just probably still be trolling around the FPL community on X. But once again, thanks for listening. Good luck in double game week 25, and I will talk to you next time.